Welcome to Smackey's Garage. Today we're going to be looking at lug nuts on my 2018 F-150 and why you should probably check yours to see if you need to replace them all. Now, having owned multiple F-150s, one of the things that I always check over the years is the lug nuts on them. One, make sure they're tight. Two, make sure they're not corroding and falling apart. Now, one of the things on my previous truck that happened to me is I actually got a flat tire on the side of the road. And when you look at the kit that they give you for this truck, all that they give you is a tire iron and a jack, which typically works well as long as the tire iron fits. Now, what I'm going to show you on my truck is the issue starting to happen on these lug nuts, and I'm going to go ahead and replace them. And we're going to go ahead and see if we can cut one up to take a look to see kind of how they're made. Now, getting close to the lug nuts, it's really hard to see what's actually happening here, but we're going to take a look with our socket. Now, you can see that they've all seen some where I have taken them off. If you use an impact gun, it does make this condition worse, I believe, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a look at the difference between all these using a socket. Now, let's go ahead and make an assumption that you have this 121 millimeter socket. This is what you're using. The tire iron is this size. So you go to put it on and you take them off. You know, you expect this to go all the way down and all the way in. And it does on some, as you can see in that one. But one of the things that you're going to notice is as we look at other ones, it goes on some of the way, and then even on others, it goes on almost like none of the way. Now, zooming in to look at this one a little bit, you can start to see some of the corrosion around the edges that's coming on, maybe from using an impact gun, but also because I believe these are actually two-piece. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut one open to see if we can see the difference. Now, the fact that it is different and it's not fitting in this normal 21 millimeter socket means it's not going to fit in the tire iron. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to actually replace all of them because they're just going to get worse over time because of corrosion, and then put new ones on. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take one of these off. Let's go ahead and take a look at it, and we'll compare it to one of the replacement ones that I'm putting on. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a look at these lug nuts. And here is the one that we're replacing, here's the one that I'm putting on. Now, one of the things I'm going to call out is I don't have any experience with these. These are what was available off Amazon and online right now. So I'm going to try these out. I'll let you know how they do if I have any issues with them in the comments, but as of right now, these are the ones I'm going to try out. Looking at them, they look similar to the seat, except it's much more extended. You probably have an extra 1/4 to 1/2 inch of extension out. So it's going to look a little bit different on the truck, but they're chrome, they're nice. All right, now taking a look at this one, I think you can kind of see where some of the issues are. You can see there's some impacts probably from the impact gun, taking these on and off over and over again. Now, you don't have full control over it if you're doing that yourself or not. I've taken it to plenty of tire places that have new tires put on, and they definitely use an impact to take these on and off, which damage them. But what it does, it creates an issue where you get some spacing under there, some water gets in, creates corrosion, then you can no longer use it. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this one, we're gonna cut this apart. Now, I actually did buy a saw to be able to cut this and nicely slice it, but what I'm realizing is I don't really have a good way to fixture it, even with the blocks that I bought over there. So without a good way to fixture it, hacksaw it is. So, hacking away we go. All right, so the fair way to do this is for me to cut open one of the eyes in ones, one of the ones that I bought, to see if it's actually two-piece versus one-piece. Guess I'm gonna end up with one short lug nut, but at least we'll get to find out. So we're gonna go ahead and cut that open too. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the lug nuts that we cut apart. So we have the eyes in one over here, which I cut apart, which is claimed to be one piece and looks to be one piece. And then we have the forward one over here, which is a multi-piece. So it has a cap on the outside. Now, there's one thing that's really clear when I'm looking at the forward one. You can see that it actually has spun on the inside. So you can see the one, since it's two separate pieces, hitting with the impact has been probably shifting this over little by little, and you can see it's edged its way over and maybe clocked itself over a few degrees, which is what's making it a little bit bigger and impossible to take off with the 21 millimeter wrench. Now looking at this one, which is an example of a one-piece lug nut, you can see that everything is just one solid piece. Now you can clearly see the trade-off between the one piece and the two piece. The one piece isn't gonna rotate on the inside and cause it to expand, where the two piece, if it does, you end up using an impact on it, it could cause it to expand and cause you having trouble getting it off when you're on the side of the road. So as I'm looking for lug nuts, and as you should too, maybe you want to check out the one-piece ones rather than the two-piece if that's what you care about. When looking for a lug nut for your truck, a few things you need to look for. One, you need to make sure it's at least as deep or deeper as the previous one, because you do not want the stud bottoming out. Then we want to look at to make sure that we have the right size here. So this is a metric 14 and it's a 1.5 pitch thread, where I think some of the older trucks were actually a 2mm thread. So it's a different pitch, I believe. Something to check out just to make sure that when you do buy these for your truck, you get the right one. And then one of the last things we need to look for is this angle right here in the shape, because this is what actually the lug nut sits on the truck. So this shape is important because it's what actually makes contact, and it's gonna force the wheel against the rotor. So you can see here that these are the same shape, or very close to the same shape. So these will work for my truck, but whatever you're getting for a truck, make sure you get ones that'll work for your truck specifically. All right, now that we've looked at the difference between the two of these, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna swap out the ones that are on there. We're gonna go ahead and take a look to see what the difference in look is from the longer one to the shorter one before I make any commitment to saying they're staying on there long term. So go ahead, we're gonna swap over half of them and we'll take a look. Now, if I look at these, same as the Ford ones, avoid using an air impact gun to install your lug nuts because obviously it's gonna cause some damage. All right, now looking at them from a good distance away, you can kind of see the difference. The clean ones are the ones that are new. But even when you look at it from the side, there are 3 on there that are different. So you have 1, 2, and 3. They do look slightly bigger than the others. You can definitely tell they're longer when you look up close, but I mean, when they're further away, maybe they're a little bit longer, but overall, it doesn't really bother me. You can see the difference a little bit more here, but it's not really that noticeable. So I'm going to be using these for now. Now they're all swapped over and they do look good on the truck. Everything does look normal. So even now that they've replaced the ones that are a little bit shorter, you really can't tell the difference. Looking at them side by side, you could definitely see it, but now that they're all on, everything looks good. Now, if you've made it this far along this video, go ahead and subscribe and like this video. I spent a lot of time testing, trying out different Ford parts, different aftermarket parts, and I do reviews on a lot of them. If you do have some parts you want me to try out and test, feel free to let me know down in the comments and I'll check them out. So thanks for tuning in this week on the Smackey's Garage. I'll see you next time.